Welcome. Welcome also to Ania Marincek and Julia La Mendola from Larma Studio, the invited Swiss brand, who have in turn invited Eva Gaumé, who is artistic director of EMMANUELLE KHANH. So welcome. And so both eyewear brands. And I guess what's interesting to Eva is in our talks, you're the only designer who has taken, is continuing the heritage of an existing brand, which is interesting. But maybe we can start Larma Studio if you want to tell us about your brand.
Yeah, okay, so we started our brand back in 2021. So after having won 2 grants from Helvetia, who helped us to start the brand, and our first collection was launched in 2022. And yeah, we met during our studies at Head University, and we decided to do a collaboration for my bachelor collection. So that's where it all started. And
what are you making?
We make eyewear. We do fashion eyewear, but we mainly work with recycled and dead stock acetates. So if people don't know, acetates is the main material used in eyewear industry. So we work with recycled and dead stock ones. And yeah, our goal is to make bright colors, loud, bold models with a responsible approach.
Okay. And it's the first collection that you're selling in the shops?
Exactly. And we're going to present our new collection in October for Silmo, which is the optical fair in Paris.
Okay. Eva, tell us about EMMANUELLE KHANH and your journey to...
So EMMANUELLE KHANH is a 50-year-old brand which was founded by Madame Emmanuelle Khan in Paris in 1969. The brand ran for more than 30 years with a global approach of a woman vestiaire. She was mostly at the beginning designing knitwear, and then eyewear became really the key accessory of the silhouette. The brand went off in the mid-90s because of a lot of mistakes, I guess. Industry, the way the trend changed, and also the way the business of fashion changed. And then the brand was brought back by a small company, by a small family group who brought back the brand, and it was relaunched with eyewear because early 2000 the trend was really about big vintage acetate frames, and so it was really the right time for EK to come back. And I did my first internship in the brand. At the time it was mostly about recreating some vintage pieces, re-editions, and then I did some freelance for the brand, and I came back in 2016, and I gradually took over the creative direction. So now it's been more than 7-8 years, so it's been quite a journey, step by step. And the brand is something very organic in a way, but still it's a big name with a lot of history. But also it's a field of possibilities, and now eyewear is still our key, what we mostly do, but we've been working around eyewear. So we try to do, I think this is something we connect, is because also of our backgrounds, we have a vision of fashion. It's an attitude, it's something more than just a piece of eyewear, and the eyewear industry is sometimes only about eyewear. So
yes, I imagine it has its own particularities, the eyewear industry, as it's it's not the same as the fashion industry.
It should be. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. It is a very, I think, man world, a bit like the optical field, and there's not a lot of brands that are very linked to fashion or anything that, as you said, I think we all have like a very close relationship with fashion, and that's why like we bring a bit something new, I guess, in our own ways, and also we made the same school as Eva, and maybe also the schooling we had also give us quite similar sensitivity, yeah, to the eyewear that not all eyewear brands have, because of their very particular, I don't know how I say, but like it's very like a more almost medical point of view, like it's a product design more than fashion item most of the time. Yeah.
Yes, for us, eyewear can be more like an accessory, something to mark your character, your attitude, to express your identity more than, I mean, a medical piece that you have to wear. I mean, it combines both.
Yeah.
Both things.
A lot of brands seem to have. I mean, Celine glasses, obviously, you see everywhere. Frames. I mean, how many high fashion brands today have make frames? And I suppose a lot do, right?
You mean like couture brand ready to a big license?
Yes.
Yeah. Eyewear is all, in my point of view, and what we stand for as an independent brand. When you are a designer brand, you really contrast with the license system, where they just sell frames with the logo. So it's kind of merchandising. It really has shifted. A few years ago, when Kering LVMH started to understand there is so much money to make, and they started to integrate the whole system from production to the like shops, the retail, and they buy several companies in the process. So they integrate a lot. But in a way we really don't fight in the same fields, because they have like the powers of marketing and the fashion shows, and eyewear is just something. Sometimes you have amazing pieces that will only stand on the catwalk, and then you can see like Chanel, Dior in a very like the worst retail shop and like the glasses are like just something that it doesn't say Chanel, doesn't say luxury. So that's also, I think, probably in Geneva, in Geneva, we got like a completely different view on what can be a piece of eyewear, but most of the time people, they hate, like when you have to wear a frame, this is something that you can see it as, it takes something away from you, because you have to dress yourself with something that is not like your own
body.
So it's kind of a challenge to make it your own, and it's very interesting when you bring a brand to the market to find the people that will embrace the same spirit. I think you will step by step really see even more how like opticians, retailers, they really embody your vision as well. And if you don't find the right ones, you can have the best product, it won't meet the final consumer. And opticals, sunglasses, optics, really is something so hard to sell like online, because people want to try it, they want to feel it, most of the time they also want to put lenses inside. So like this is something, even though many things are changing in the way we consume products, eyewear is something like old-fashioned in so many ways.
Does Emmanuelle Khan have own name boutiques?
No, not yet.
So that's a challenge, is it getting the retailing, and the right match, and the right environment.
Yeah.
And how does the eyewear industry intersect with sustainability? What are the issues that you face and the choices that you have to make?
I would say that, as Eva said, it's a very old-fashioned world and field, and they're a bit late compared to like the recent trends, let's say, on sustainability or. And it's like, I don't think a lot of brands really integrate this, or they really stick to the minimum that, let's say, bioacetate, or like a bit of greenwashing with some of their items, but it's not really answering the needs, or even they're not even talking about it enough or anything. Like, I don't know, and even like the producers, it's very complicated to have full transparency about their production practices. Let's say for like lenses, if they put the last coating in Italy, they can say it's made in Italy, even if though the entire lens is made in China. So that's also super complicated as a brand to go through those steps.
Yeah, and it's a very technical field, and sometimes we feel that they don't want to like waste time by entering these recycling processes in their production, because it takes time. It's complicated because, I mean, we work with recycled acetate, and when the suppliers get all the waste from the industry, they get everything. I mean, everything is mixed, but it's mixed with metal, with the hinges. So it's a lot of work to separate everything, and they don't include it in their process at the source. So we are at the end of the chain. So it's very difficult. Well, I mean, for us, because we're a tiny company, to say, hey, could you make an effort back there and prepare that, because for them it's just a waste of time, and it's so much easier to throw everything away. I mean, like in the whole industry, but and also because in eyewear, at first it's a technical object. I would say it's when you wear a pair of sunglasses or optical glasses, you wear them every day, and they tend to how to say to
become an extension.
Yeah, I mean to degrade quicker than, I mean, if it's some fabric, like recycled fabric, you're not going to wear it every day. So the quality, it loses a bit of quality also when each time you recycle. So if it's something you're going to wear every day, it has to be perfect and very solid. And maybe, as it's a very technical field, they want to keep it perfect, and it has to. It cannot move. It cannot be flimsy or. And so I think that's one of the main reasons.
So there's a culture of kind of rigidity and not much experimentation, or
yeah. But it's been changing a lot. When I came in the industry, like the fairs, no suppliers would like propose any like bio collections or upcycled or recycled. Everything really from. I think it was already on the way before COVID, but they started to do a lot more from then. Also because there are many laws that are coming in Europe. So because they are big, the big companies, they know it will take a long time for them to adjust. Yes. For example, for acetate in Italy, they are right now transitioning a lot of machines, which means they have to stop production, they have to build a new area to just place the machines, and this has a lot of impact on the ongoing production as well. So everything is changing, but because we are in an industrial field, it takes a while. And then also when you start really thinking what is like bio, okay, but where does it come from? Is it sustainable? I think there is a big challenge between buying something that is organic or bio or upcycled, but if it's done in the worst social condition, then like how can you feel comfortable? So in Geneva, I follow this class about sustainability, and the subject really, the main goal of this class was to make us face the fact that like there is nothing is black or white. It's always an in-between, and this is also like for Emmanuelle Khanh, we've done a lot of choices, but nothing is always perfect. It's always ongoing, and I'm always thinking, how can we talk about that? Like, we are transitioning some of our lenses, but not all 100% of the stocks is like made with the new bio materials. So yeah, I'm always, I think the interesting thing to do is to go back and forth when you are a designer, being like the designer, and then thinking, okay, now I'm the customer of my brand. What do I want to know? And I think we are also generation, we know, like, don't lie to me. I know nothing is black or white. So, yeah, sometimes you rather just do the work and make the best choices. And if people, they take time to listen, then you can explain. But sometimes it's, I've seen some ridiculous stuff. People just like throwing pieces of wood on the floor just to say we make like organic thing. And yeah, I think it's a little bit sad to, there is, yeah, other ways to do so. But yeah, the industry is really evolving, and I think like what you've been able to do for your first collection, probably like 6-7 years ago, this was like not possible here in France, in Italy, in Switzerland, and we are very lucky. A lot of industries coming back locally, so with small manufacturers also.
Can I ask a really stupid question? What is acetate exactly?
It's a derivative from cellulose, so it's wood and cotton pulp. So it's basically powder, and it contains, it's plastified with a petrol-based chemical stuff, and mixed together it makes acetate, cellulose acetate. So when we talk about, for instance, bioacetate, the plastifier comes from natural resources.
Okay.
But even it's not compostable or anything, so it's also a lot of greenwashing from the brands who use terms like also
biodegradable.
Yeah, what we see
eyewear.
also, what is crazy is like vegan eyewear, and you're like, no sunglasses are ever made with like.
One of our suppliers always says, I would never eat it. So you know, we have some jokes like, you would not put it in your garden, and then there's no tree coming out of it. Yes. And when you see a piece of eyewear, you have to think there is like 80% that is lost in the process. So that is a big amount of material.
You mean like when it's cut out the holes?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. All the inside and outside.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of loss in the process. But I think in a way we are more lucky than the fashion, like ready-to-wear brands, because people, they don't see eyewear as something that makes pollution, that creates waste. They just see it like this and like standalone thing.
Also because it's like related to medical, I think, because they're like, it's like people need it, so you won't attack.
Yeah, and maybe the fast fashion effect is not like so big on it, but it's really coming. But yeah,
I think the average price for a sunglass is like what people would pay is like 15 euros, so it's very low. Yeah. And most of people buy it in fast fashion, but it's clearly not the first, how do you say, target to shoot when it comes to fashion. Like people just forget about this. Even like jewelries, they're all about like clothing, landfills of clothing.
But still, it's a huge industry. I mean, I mean, a lot of people wear some optical glasses, and we're tending to wear even more because of the screens.
Yes.
So it's growing. So I mean, the waste is growing with it also.
And how do you source? So what's the process in the material you're using in your collection?
So basically, our supplier of acetate, he started to gather all the waste of the eyewear industry in his region with other manufacturers, and he didn't sort the colors or anything. He would just like put it back into like small pellets, to cut it into small pellets and produce. By pressing it, produce new sheets of acetate, and then you can do like a new 100% recycled sunglasses. So that's what we use for 70% of the first collection. And what we proposed to him was to come ourselves in his warehouse and to sort the colors ourselves to be able to produce also our own colors. But it's possible because it's like a very small amount production. Otherwise, it would be much more complicated.
Yeah, and also because we started small and we have a small. I mean, the first collection is a small amount, so it was possible to do it. I mean, if we grow and well, we have to see also if it's going to be possible to continue that way, because it's
very challenging as well.
Yeah. The most challenging situation, and when you are in between. Like not small, not big. Like this is the gray area where everything is a little bit. You have too many quantities to do like the crafty way, and not enough to do the industrial way. And
is that the situation with the
we have like overcome this situation, but when I came in the company, we had like quite small volumes of frames compared to now, and it really gave us a lot more freedom in the decision we make. Also because when you're running for a few seasons, it's so much easier to forecast what's coming next. You can like buy some material, make some stocks, and because you will use it for next season, the season after, but sometimes when you start, it's really, you have to go step by step, also because you're learning while you're walking. So yeah, it's really important, I think, to take it step by step.
And also, sorry. In comparison to other designers here, many of them they create their own pieces, or they have less suppliers or less less people they have to work
involved
with, or maybe just one person that will do the manufacturing. And in eyewear, there are so many different people we have to work with. And it takes so much time because we have to think to think ahead. Yes, and if we have to add all the time to make the material, it adds a lot. Also, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, because it's
and
it's big quantities. Also, I mean the scale. Is not. It's difficult to make a small scale. Because we cannot control the quantities we want to produce, because they are always MOQs, like minimum quantities of orders, and it's a lot of people and suppliers to juggle with, and so it's a bit tricky.
And did you study fashion design, or?
I studied fashion design.
Okay. And so, and the decision to specialize or to go in the direction of eyewear, how did that come about?
So it's because we collaborated for my bachelor collection together, and I also really had an interest in eyewear. But what really made us decide to launch the brand was our reflections around fashion, and also like the idea of as a young designer, we don't want to create another new brand of clothing and having all this problem and issues around waste. So basically, the idea of the brand started when we visited this warehouse from our supplier, where he told us about the process of recycling, and we were like, there's something to do about this. And that's how it started. Otherwise, I don't think we would have tried to launch a brand or anything, but we thought it was like a very new approach and very innovative. But now we also met all the challenges that it represents, because it's not as easy as it seems. Like, as she said, you cannot recycle like more than like 3 times, otherwise the quality is really not going to be as good. Also, the problem is when if you want to recycle, let's say, sunglasses like already made, you also have all the metal components that come inside it, and that can really cause a lot of issues. We had ourselves a lot of problems because of this, and it created a lot of defect. Yeah, we had a lot of products that were not ready to sell because of the problem of a metal component inside the acetates. So it has to evolve.
But in a way, it sounds like a big part of the puzzle for you was meeting a manufacturer from which you could get this material that made it kind of possible. And it seems like there's that interdependence in any industry between supply of your materials, raw materials. I guess it's like a crucial.
It is, and that's also what makes you very dependent of the whole chain of production, which is sometimes very frustrating, because if you have the smallest problem issue with one, or like a smallest delay, it really is like a chain reaction, you know.
And Eva, you explained starting a stage and the creating a relationship with the brand that grew over time, but
yeah, it was this relationship with the brand, plus also I studied also jewelry, and at that time the department was completely shifting from a more crafty approach to jewelry to a more industrial. So it was we had access to workshop with a lot of hand making, plus we had a lot of new technology, 3D printing, the laser cuts. So we had to make a lot of our prototypes. I was not so good at hand making things, and I think the satisfaction from doing something that was industrial yet handmade was something that I really enjoyed, and frame is really something that frame your eye, your identity. And it's funny because I'm a young mom, I have a baby, and I see the attraction she has on frames, and I was like, yeah, okay, the object is shiny, but also it's around your eyes, and it's the attraction of it is really strong. And also when you hide with very dark lenses, then it's it can be very weird. And I traveled to Japan last July to visit factories, and over there it's very funny because we have a retailer that only buys opticals, but they sell it in the fashion department stores, which is never the case here in Europe. And they explain to us that in Japan is really something seen as it's the worst attitude to wear sunglasses with dark shades, because this is really associated with the bad people, the mafia, and so the symbolic around the eyewear is really strong. And this is something we had also a lot in our studies, not only the design aspect, but all the symbolic aspect, the history of fashion, aspect, the culture, and I think I really related to this. And Emmanuelle Khanh is really not the medical, technical piece of eyewear, so yeah, for me it was the perfect meeting point of having a local production in France with a lot of history, plus being able to make some statement pieces. So, and also the material feeling. Acetate is quite magic when you see it like coming from raw to completely polished with like the volume. So I think when you have this attraction to material, acetate really is something beautiful.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has a question to ask. As we get Christian.
Well, thank you so much for all this interesting insight into eyewear, which I have no idea that glasses are so complicated to make, to be very honest. Or like all these different components for different people. I was interested, you said, oh, they have really high MOQs. Like, how high? I mean,
well, it depends on the manufacturer, but I mean, for one pair.
One model.
One model. For one model, it would be 300 pairs for one model. So if you do many models, it will be 900 pairs in total. So it can be, it's a lot.
So you also have to be really, maybe even it's limited in how many models you put out, I guess, if you're just starting out.
Of course, it's a big amounts directly.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, compared to fashion, you don't have the like sample step. Then you do your fashion week. You have your sample. If people buy, then you produce. You come to the fair, you have your whole stock in production, and you're like, you have to sell. So this is something we always are running also after the fashion weeks, because right now, like this is SS24, but when you're ready to sell, like your collection is kind of autumn, winter. When you want to speak to both business, the optical world plus the fashion world, it's always makes you a little bit bipolar. But yeah, this is something I think when I entered the company, I had my idea of one day I would have my brand, and I really started to understand how like tough and complex it is, because yeah, you have to live with this amount of pieces that you have to produce, because it is a crafty, and there are a lot of small companies, because eyewear is not so, when you take the history of eyewear, the way they are making, it's not even 100 years old. The workshops, it's quite recent. It's really connected to the electricity,
industrialization.
Yeah, when you go to Oyonnax, the city of eyewear in France, there is this big old building where they say, oh, this over there, it was the only place where they had electricity, so they could, and there were a lot of small workshops that would use the electricity. And the funny thing, they had like a pool on the rooftop, because there were so many fires all the time, because celluloid is very inflammable. And so they would use the water from the rain to stop the fires.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's really something that I love about this industry. It's always like small stories, you meet people. It seems like a big machine, but it's all about human, and people are very, very nice and human, even if they are running a quite successful big company.
There's also another story that I've heard, and I thought it was really, really cute, that because it's the region in France where they're made. It's in the Jura, so it's a mountain region, like really close to Switzerland. And in Switzerland, we have a lot of watchmaking. And back in the days, the farmers in the winter they had less work. So in Switzerland, many of them would make watches, okay. and on the other side of the frontier in France, they would make some glasses, eyewear in their little studio at home.
Fascinating. Cottage industries, I think you're saying in English.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I don't know if you have anything more to add or anyone has a question.
Sorry to confuse you. I just have a question, like as a young company as yours, I don't know, what did you study, Julia?
Fashion accessories and jewelry design. We had the same.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, how do you run a company? Like, because I guess you're then now doing stuff that you haven't studied. I know that you've been supported by coaches and stuff, but like on every day, how do you work together on all these other sides of the business?
It's a lot, but
it's a long way.
We had a lot of help, honestly. Like to be supported by Pro Helvetia really helped. Julia is now at Pulse Incubator in Geneva. I did an entrepreneurship certificate at IFM in Paris. So we always find ways to get coaching and to meet professionals that really help us on all the business side, production overview.
Mm-hmm. Little steps, step by step, and it's always very interesting and enriching to meet people that have the same kind of process as us. So from each other designers also we can also give each other advices, but we still are learning a lot. We still have to learn, and
but it's all about network, I think.
Yes,
at the end, like really finding the right connection or people like to meet that are really going to help you to help you out. Yeah.
And making mistakes also.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn. Like honestly, and we made so many, so we're good. No, we're not good. We made a lot. Yeah, we survived this first production, and so that's already a good thing.
And also, I think when you're young, in a way, first of all, people are so much more indulgent if you make a mistake. Then you learn, and because you're new, you have a whole new vision, so you make things different, and maybe it's better sometimes because you make things evolve. And the oldest companies sometimes, like we are a quite young team, so we have completely changed like the process inside. But sometimes you see the big ones and you think, oh, they are like big teams, everyone has a lot of experience, but there are trouble and challenges in the big ones and the very small ones. I think it's not the same, but the adaptability.
Well, I think the word in English often in that whole startup culture is agility.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
Super. I think we have to call it a day, but thank you very much.
Thank you.